Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to be doing a trailer breakdown for The Midnight Sky, which is a Netflix original film that will be hitting this December. And this is an interesting one. We have George Clooney as our main star. We also have some other cast members as well, like, not necessarily co-stars, but like secondary stars. We have like Felicity Jones, who was a lot of people would remember as Jyn Erso from Rogue One. She also popped up in, I think, Amazing Spider-Man 2 as Felicia Hardy. She's in it as well really, that's really the only two really big names that I think I can think of out of this film. There's a few different people, but mostly we center around George Clooney, and that's what a majority of the trailer sits around. And George Clooney is channeling his inner lumberjack for this one, it looks like. He's grown a massive beard. He definitely looks a lot like somebody who should be up in the Canadian wilderness wearing plaid. But he's basically at this little, it looks like a research station somewhere in the Arctic or some icy place. And he's trying to send out a message and get into contact with this ship known as the Ether. Now, the problem with this trailer kind of starts at the beginning, where this trailer commits the cardinal sin of trailers. It basically gives away a lot of the film's plot and motivation and even kind of the end game of the movie in the trailer. So if you are looking forward to this film and you do not want to know any of those things, I would tune out now. If you're willing to go forward and you don't care, or you just want to hear me rant about how advertising departments need to get their shit together, you can stick around. So the early part of the trailer, we have this segment with George Clooney, and he also apparently has a young daughter. Looks like a girl, maybe 7 or 8. And he's with her at this little tiny station, and they're trying to get contact out to this ship. And like I said, George Clooney explains that the Ether is a ship that was sent out to try and find a new home for humanity, and they've now come back. But the problem is that the Earth is now like some kind of a desolate wasteland and shit, because then we switch to the astronauts. And the astronauts are trying to get a message to Earth, and they can't get anybody to respond, and they don't understand why. They don't understand why everybody's so quiet, even though they've come back. So this is kind of, I'm not really 100% sure what the actual end game is for this. I mean, you know why the motivation is of, why George Clooney has to get in contact with the ship. Because in the next couple of scenes, they basically go through the explanation of the antenna that they have, that George Clooney has in his little research station, is not powerful enough to send a signal out to the ship. So he needs to go to another satellite that's located in a different spot in order to get a proper signal out. Now, for some reason, he believes he has to bring his daughter with him instead of just leaving her in what would appear to be a relatively safe research station. He has to bring her with him, and then we have, conjoining scenes of that, along with the astronauts kind of talking with one another, and a lot of kind of interpersonal things with them. There's a few quotes with that. George Clooney has an overlay, just a voice overlay over the entire trailer, which is good. I do like him in kind of the, I like him as an actor. I've always liked George Clooney as an actor, and this seems kind of interesting to me because it's something that's very much almost like a disaster movie. It reminds me a little bit visually of something like Interstellar, or Gravity, which George Clooney also worked on. And also that kind of like Day After Tomorrow type of feel, like, I don't know if anybody remembers that movie with Dennis Quaid, where basically the whole idea is that global warming and ice storms and new ice age and things like that. But, the movie itself is serviceable as a disaster film, but it reminded me visually, at least, of that. But George Clooney's whole trek out there, the whole idea is that you don't want to show us what happens. You don't want to show us what he finds. Now, earlier in the trailer, when he's looking for the new satellite, there's a little, like, 3-dimensional image on this computer, kind of like an Iron Man workstation style type of a map, where you see a three-dimensional image of exactly what that antenna and the facility that's attached to it look like. Now, at the end of this trailer, we see that George Clooney and his daughter go over a hill, and down in what looks like a valley or a crater or something, we see this exact same research station. So they've given away the fact that George Clooney and his daughter leave the old research station, make the trek through the snow, apparently survive that perfectly fine because they're both standing up. I would assume, if the daughter was injured, I'd assume he'd be holding her or something like that. Maybe that would give it away. But no, they seem perfectly fine. And they're there in front of the research station they have to reach. It's just whether or not they feel like walking the extra couple thousand yards to get to it. You've given away that the main kind of hook of your film is, can George Clooney and his daughter find this place is already ruined in the trailer. That part should have never been in there. You should have never even shown us what this research station looked like. Or if you did, only show it once and don't show it, at the end when we can see that they've obviously reached it. Now, that's my big gripe with this, is that it gives that away in the trailer. If you're paying attention to it, you can tell that, it's going in fairly logical progression. We understand exactly what's happening. The only kind of gray area is, what's up with this ship? Why is there a time frame or something where, or is there a time frame where George Clooney has to activate this before something happens? Either the ship, loses momentum and burns up in re-entry, or it has to go someplace else, it has to return, or maybe it'll leave and go somewhere else. I don't know why it would, but there's probably some kind of a time constraint on this thing, I would imagine. That's usually how these movies tend to function. But now you also have the added in wrinkle of, okay, so now we have George Clooney, who's kind of our main guy here. We're following him. Now, what do we do with all the astronauts? Now, it seems like the astronauts are probably going to wind up having more of the interpersonal moments, because these are people that are completely removed from whatever the hell has happened on Earth. And that is the other thing that actually the trailer is very vague about, is what the hell is going on with Earth right now? Because it seems like there's very few people that are walking around. Obviously, it's just George Clooney and his kid. And we don't really see anybody else on the Earthbound side for the entirety of the trailer. We just see a map with all these big red, expanding circles. I don't know, maybe nuclear explosions. Maybe there was a nuclear holocaust and now they're in nuclear winter. Maybe it's something along those lines, or maybe those are volcanoes that erupted and caused the second ice age. The soot blotted out the sun and all that. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know, but they are kind of vague on that, which it makes me question it a little bit. But regardless, now you have the situation. So George Clooney is going to be our driving force. He's going to be most of our action. He's probably going to be most of our good or solo acting. We're not even sure how long we're actually going to spend with the astronauts, even though they do take up a decent amount of the trailer. Now, as for the acting and everything, it all looked really, really good. The astronauts kind of looked good together, interacting and stuff like that for what we do see of them. The daughter really doesn't have any speaking lines in the trailer, I think. I don't know if she's mute or maybe they just didn't put any lines in there for her. But, nothing, again, just a general child actor. Didn't really do anything too amazing in the trailer. Obviously, we're gonna need to judge that by what happens in the film. But yeah, I can't mark it down for that. I can't mark it down for any kind of the visuals. The space shots actually look really good. The ship is semi-realistic, again, kind of like an Interstellar sort of feel. I like that kind of an aesthetic if they're trying to keep it somewhat in the tone of this is our reality at some point. This is what we know, so this is developed to this point. It doesn't look like the Millennium Falcon coming in for no reason. So we have that, and then at the end of the trailer, we have like I said, we have the money shot where he's standing in front of the actual facility that he has to be at. But I like George Clooney. I like some of I like the type of genre that this is in. I like that kind of semi-science fiction where it's beyond what we have now, but it feels like it's within reach. I like that kind of an aspect in forms of science fiction. I hope this is kind of like a hardcore science fiction thing. I'd like that if it was something like that, maybe mixed in with whatever's going on with the disaster thing and what people have done to each other. And so I like those aspects of it. I take back because it does show way too much in the trailer, but I can't fault it as long as the end product is good. I can fault the advertising department. I can't necessarily fault the film. But as usual, the link to the trailer will be in the description below. So if any of you want to watch it, you can. And for those of you who have watched it, did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you a fan? Are you a fan of George Clooney? Do you think that this film looks relatively good? Again, this is a Netflix property, so we're used to kind of a mixed bag there. So, but like I said, comment below. I like to know your thoughts. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?